I don't watch the show that much, but I've seen enough.
Who is that? Who is that?
Greg Gutfeld's one of the hosts of The Five, who, if I don't have anything nice to say, I generally don't say anything at all. I would just say this, his show should be called Kat Timpf, not Gutfeld, because she's the funny one on it.
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions? Yeah. Like you said, and it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say on The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. So, but the problem with her is that she went full racist.
How do you define wokeness? Because I hear people use the term all the time, and it means something different to everybody.
Well, again, I think it's this collection of ideas that are not building on liberalism, but very often undoing it.
What happens when Greg Gutfeld and Bill Maher join forces to take on The View? It's not just a reality check, it's a total mic drop. The hosts are left stunned, unsure whether to cut to a commercial or just surrender, and by the time they scramble for a response, the audience is already cracking up at the replay.
Doesn't ring a bell. It's time for
our view on The View. Ugh.
Joy, I'm obsessed with a lot of things that make me laugh every single day of my life, and you, little lady, are right up there with them. I'd love to have you on our show sometime. We'll even stock the room with your favorite frozen mice. That's what you feed them.
This wasn't just a conversation, it was a full-blown televised takedown. Greg Gutfeld didn't simply clap back. He went live and uncensored, torching the double standards with no filter in sight. And Bill Maher, he wasn't far behind, unleashing his signature dry, savage humor like truth bombs, clearing the air like he was cleansing a corrupted house. Together, they didn't just criticize The View, they dragged the entire show as if it had stolen their lunch money. The hosts looked stunned, torn between calling a commercial break or just waving the white flag. If you still think daytime, TV's all safe takes and coffee talk, think again. This was a full-scale code red. The fallout was messy, and someone really should check if the studio carpet survived. Gutfeld, the razor-sharp conservative who uses eye rolls like punctuation. And Maher, the blunt liberal who sees cancel culture as a bigger threat than climate change, formed the most unlikely duo. And it worked. While New York was pulling plastic-tainted sausages off the shelves, these two were cooking up something far spicier. Raw, unfiltered truth served with a side of salt and just enough shade to keep the entire internet fed. For days...
We're far right, and I can't say it enough. I think they're the bigger threat. But don't tell me that the left hasn't changed. Mm-hmm. I'm old enough to remember when it was the conservatives who hated.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a joke. But,
too dark.
If he were black, he could run for president and probably win. But there she goes again, playing the race card. She's more predictable than gas after a cheesy Gordita Supreme at Taco Bell. For someone named Sunny, she sure is cloud.
The View isn't a talk show anymore. It's a linguistic mosh pit where coffee flies and facts vanish before the opening credits fade. The panel hasn't seen such chaos since season 17, and now it's common sense versus circus, not left versus right. Gutfeld, who treats roasting The View like a sport, didn't hold back this time. With Bill Maher by his side, the smug posturing got exposed, and the fake compassion turned laughable. Gutfeld shredded the format, calling it a group project gone wrong, where everyone thinks they're the smartest, yet nothing gets done. He dragged Joy Behar for rewriting history mid-sentence, mocked Sunny Hostin's "It's True Because I Said It" vibe, and turned Whoopi into the punchline of a wandering philosopher meme. His takedown was so brutal. Even Joy, who wasn't on the show, caught a stray shot. Greg joked she probably skipped the episode for her weekly sarcasm recharge. Or maybe just stayed home to read more hate mail. Either way, the mic drop was real, and The View won't recover anytime soon.
Wearing that red hat that says "Make America Great Again," that tells people that you go along with this. So you might as well just put a sticker on the hat.
Don't do that. Let's not do that.
Because we see it anyway.
I'm not going to defend Donald Trump ever, but I would never say that we should put this on the cap, because I think you can hate Donald Trump. You can't hate everybody who likes him. Joy is a wonderful human being, and she should not be afraid that people are going to attack her because she said that thing about the on the cap.
Well,
she does not think that as you said to me in the break, you do not think that all the people who are for Trump are.
No, I don't.
You
I don't.
don't.
I just want them to pay attention to words like vermin and poisoning the blood and the third.
Greg no longer sees The View as a talk show. To him, it's group therapy gone wrong. The hosts play emotional puppeteers, and the guests just props in a scripted circus. But beneath all the sarcasm, Greg actually hits a nerve. He argues the show stopped being about genuine conversation a long time ago. There's no space for honest disagreement, just theatrical sighs, whispered jabs, and dagger-like glances sharp enough to wound egos. Try finishing a sentence, and you'll be cut off by a smug smile paired with zero facts. Greg shattered their illusion of inclusivity, saying the show now feels less like a warm welcome and more like standing in an icy windstorm.
I'm not going to defend Donald Trump ever, but I would never say that we should put this on the cap, because I think you can hate Donald Trump. You can't hate everybody who likes him. It's half a country. I don't want to live in that country. I don't want to live in the country where I hate half the country, and I don't hate half the country.
How dare you disagree?
Greg called it out for what it is. Activism disguised as performance. If you're not marching to The View's script, you're not there to speak. You're there to be humiliated. No sugarcoating, just a brutal truth bomb. He compared the show to a low-budget Broadway play, with less lighting and way too much effort in the eyebrow acting. And he didn't stop there. Greg joked that Whoopi and Joy aren't even the real hosts. It's the poor production crew running the chaos backstage. Meanwhile, the teleprompter guy is silently panicking, watching yet another fact-free spiral unfold live, just praying someone hits the commercial break button in time.
That he has opened Pandora's box for some crazies out there.
The only crazies I see around here are those View chicks. Am I right? A cis would say. But I digress, says the cis. They talk less sense than me after stealing those pills from Kat's purse. Or peel.
Greg flipped the script, declaring The View no longer reflects reality. He compared it to a chaotic Twitter thread brought to life, loud, messy, and ruled by emotion over logic. When asked if he'd ever watched a full episode, he joked, "No woman with a working brain could survive that." He didn't hold back, calling out the panel's so-called progressives for pretending nothing's wrong. If things aren't improving, he said, maybe you are the problem. He even mocked Joy Behar's absence, suggesting she wisely skip the episode. And yes, he brought up her infamous Diana Ross costume, implying that the only cultural lesson learned was how not to show up. According to Greg, Joy's become the unlikeliest spokesperson for systemic racism. And perhaps that's why she vanished when the heat turned up.
Yeah, the witch's coven finally shows me some lovin'. Yesterday on The View, yours truly was the subject of conversation. Apparently, the broads have no idea who I am, or so they say. Hit it, Gladys.
They said that Gutfeld talks about you all the time.
Who is he? Well, really, who is he?
I don't watch the show.
He has a show.
I don't watch the
never
show.
heard of him. I guess he's just obsessed with me.
No. Next, Joy's gonna say she's never heard of carbs. Seriously, her denial of knowing me is as believable as her red hair.
Just when you think the roast can't get hotter, Bill Maher walks in, the man who's built a career by challenging everyone, even his own side. If Gutfeld is the sniper, Maher's the guy who walks in and hits the detonate button himself. His biggest issue with The View? No room for nuance. Disagree even slightly. And you're instantly labeled sexist, problematic, or unenlightened. Maher says it's less a panel and more a moral tribunal where self-righteousness feels like part of the wardrobe. He slammed the show for turning every minor issue into a full-blown crisis. When he brought up the word woke, warning that it's the kind of overreach that could help Trump win again. The hosts recoiled. But Maher didn't back down, reminding them that woke came from the black community, and asked, since when did staying alert to injustice become a bad thing?
Kim, excuse me, I have to say something to you. He told Bob Woodward that it was a very serious issue, and it's airborne, and that it was terrible. And then he went out and told the American people, don't wear masks, it's all going to go away. You have to put some blame on your president. I'm sorry. You're putting it on something extraneous here. Talk to the point, please.
Is this Joy speaking?
The guy
The same
lied.
Joy? The same
Yes.
Joy that
Yes.
paraded around in blackface not too long ago? Come on, Joy. I don't think you should be
That's
asking
not
these
true.
questions. I am.
Excuse me, Sonny.
Yes.
The community did
Sonny,
not
tell
vote
him.
for you.
Well,
the black
you know what?
community did not vote for you. What
It was
planet
during
are
a
you
special
living
election.
on?
Sonny, can I speak?
What
It was
planet
during-
are you living on?
It was during a special election. Well,
Maher didn't flinch. It's not a bad thing. Or at least, it wasn't, he said. Then came the mic drop. Watching The View feels like being stuck in a fire drill where you're the arsonist. Maher went beyond sarcasm. He called out the hosts for treating shouting like evidence, quoting hashtags like TikTok warriors, and reacting to headlines they never read. While Gutfeld accuses the show of fake balance, Maher digs deeper, accusing them of faking curiosity. They don't want a discussion. He says they want a performance. No wonder The View now feels like sketch comedy without the laughs. Both Maher and Gutfeld, opposites politically, agreed. This isn't a talk show anymore. It's just noise in an echo chamber. Maher ended it with classic calm sarcasm. Mocking the backlash from Whoopi, people texted me, saying, enjoy the karma. He just laughed. Karma doesn't exist. Move on. She always comes for me. This one just went viral.
Even all the excuses in the world does not change the fact that 3 people got shot.
Yeah.
2 people.
Yeah.
To me, it's. I'm sorry.
All right. And to me, that's about as educated a legal opinion as the Rittenhouse prosecutor explaining that you should take a beating instead of defending yourself, or that the closer someone is to you with a gun, the less likely.
What truly united Gutfeld and Maher wasn't politics. It was their mutual frustration with The View's chokehold on free thought. Maher called it a cult lunch with cameras, while Gutfeld labeled it ideological theater. You could almost hear coffee mugs hitting the table harder once their viral roast clips hit the internet. The ladies of The View were clearly rattled. Their comeback, a few weak jokes and vague comments, like trying to extinguish a wildfire with body glitter. Everyone sparkled. Nothing changed.
One can legally come to a protest and under the cover of law kill me.
If he were black, he could run for president and probably win. But there she goes again, playing the race card.
As The View scrambled to salvage its image. The internet had already spoken, and it wasn't buying the act. People from both sides of the political divide found themselves laughing, not out of politeness, but with genuine amusement. The roast hit home because it was raw, funny, and brutally honest. Ironically, The View has slowly become the very thing it claims to challenge: self-righteous, unbending, and out of touch. Maher, never one to hold back, dropped one of his classic truth bombs. I remember when conservatives hated the *******. He quipped. It was awkward, sharp, and intentionally so. Maher, once the liberal firebrand, now finds himself treated like the villain for refusing to follow the modern script. In today's hypersensitive climate, his refusal to play along is seen not as rebellion, but as betrayal, and still, he doesn't flinch.
5 years ago, Abraham Lincoln was not a controversial figure among liberals. We liked him. Now they take his name off schools and tear down his statues. Really? Lincoln isn't good enough for you? 5-10 years ago, bedrock liberalism was we are striving to be a colorblind society where we don't see race. Of course, we see it, but it doesn't matter. That's not what woke is. Woke is something very different. It's identity. We see it all the time. It's always the most important thing. I don't think that's liberalism. I mean, I could mention so many issues like.
Things quickly got awkward. Sunny Hostin's expression said it all. Maher, a liberal who hadn't lost his edge, was suddenly treated like a threat. The View fell into awkward silence, fake smiles, and a frantic pivot, as if they hadn't just been roasted with spicy, unfiltered truth. A show that claims to love tough conversations completely crumbled when faced with one. Maher and Gutfeld didn't yell. They observed, joked, and exposed. And while The View tried to act unfazed, everyone noticed. This wasn't drama. It was an intervention. In one rare, explosive moment, a conservative and a liberal agreed. The View stopped being a show about conversation and started reading from a script nobody believes anymore.
She's not very bright. But the problem with her is that she went full racist. She injected skin color into a fairly generic behavior seen in all spouses, regardless of skin color. People marry, they listen to each other, they have something in common with them, they share their political views. She just didn't want to upset her husband by saying her husband makes her do everything, and then she'd have to accuse him of being a racist. Because if he told her that this is what white women do, then he's a racist. You see?
The panel keeps yelling the same opinion in different tones, mistaking volume for variety. But if The View wants to be relevant again, it needs real opposition, messy, awkward, unscripted honesty. Because when comedians like Gutfeld and Maher seem more truthful than the actual hosts, it's not just cringe, it's an identity crisis. The loudest thing isn't applause, it's the silence when someone dares to challenge them. And make no mistake, this isn't just roasting the circus, it's the moment the clowns sound smarter than the ringmasters. Maher even mocked Sunny Hostin's 2020 Instacart discovery, turning her humble brag into a tone-deaf TV moment. Brutal and accurate.
The View. It's become like a medical hospital that displays human failure. Here, let's look at this political oddity. It really is like the left-wing equivalent of a carnival sideshow, except instead of bearded ladies and fat clowns and two-headed cows. Well, let me rephrase that. But The View is a victim of the sunk cost fallacy. How can you now speak the truth when for years you've been telling lies after lie after lie? Now you're carrying this big bag of rocks around you because it's too harmful for your ego to admit that we really were dishonest.
A progressive icon once immune to cancel culture joins forces with a conservative comic fed up with the woke wave, and together they exposed a brutal truth. When both sides call you out, maybe it's time to stop and listen. This wasn't just a segment, it was an intervention. With applause signs blinking, mugs clashing, and voices competing, The View accidentally sealed itself inside its own echo chamber. And now, even its former allies are throwing stones at the glass walls. That's not backlash, it's a wake-up call.
When was Barbara
Walters,
was she still on it back then?
Yeah, she was on it even after she died.
Oh my God. I remember I was on The View, and I don't know what, or man playing at the time in a movie he was promoting. And I remember I took off her shoe just as a joke, to kind of do something. And her foot, ooh, that was a mistake.
Oh my God.
And the worst part, this isn't hate from random trolls, it's insider truth. Bill Maher used to sit at that table. Gutfeld has always been the opposition. But when both stop joking and start sounding like frustrated parents at a school meltdown, it's not sarcasm, it's a warning. The View lost its edge. Dissent is now exile. And ironically, the critics sound more reasonable than the panel itself. When clowns start making sense, maybe it's time to shut down the circus. If that roast hit harder than a joy bearer, I roll subscribe. The next takedown's coming fast.